Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Group Chat, #1 podcast in the world. We have a very special guest today, and we are talking all things social media, all things how to become a billionaire with our guy, Greg Goodfried, who is the president of the D'Amelio Corporation. We also are talking quiet firing, no longer quiet quitting. We're talking about England almost imploding, talking stock market, and then winners, losers, and content. Greg's here for the whole episode. Let's go.
Cash.
Ladies and gentlemen, Group Chat.
Cash.
It's $1 trillion. Hot.
All right, everyone, we have a very, very special guest today, and it's actually very timely because we were just talking about on last episode we were talking about Mr. Beast. And so we got like an expert in the space. Our good friend, Greg Goodfried's on the pod today. Greg, I think we met 10 years ago, right?
Sounds right.
10 years ago. And what's funny is full circle, I didn't realize when you started your current role, it was you. I just read a headline and we were trying to guess how much money you were going to make doing this.
We talked about it on this pod.
Yeah, literally, that was a topic. They're like,
leaving
okay,
UTA.
the D'Amelios are taking a partner at UTA. I wonder how much is money. And I'm not going to put it out there what we guessed, but people said we were close. I don't know if you've ever told anyone. They just, other agents thought this is how much you're making. So you're doing well from what we hear.
It was a good decision. I don't regret it for a lot of reasons. I don't regret it, but yeah.
So
fun.
How would you explain your day-to-day role?
So my title is president of what we're calling D'Amelio Entertainment, and I oversee. There's 4 family members. So Charlie, Dixie, Mark, and Heidi. Each one of them has their own career. Mm-hmm. So Charlie does a lot in performing, dance, singing, works with brands. Dixie has a big music career. They have a TV show, so I oversee all of it, and it's an insane job. So, half percentage of my time is TV stuff. So we have a show on Hulu. We have other stuff we're developing. We do a show with Snapchat. We have brand partnerships, so I have to oversee things with Dunkin' Donuts and Prada and Valentino. We have a venture fund. We raised $25 million to invest in venture. We have, a whole music business. The girls both have music careers going on, so it's bouncing around between upcoming projects, overseeing current projects, being on sets on photo shoots, putting tours together, putting productions together. It's crazy.
It's pretty crazy because, stepping back, when you saw TikTok early on, did you think it was going to be this? Because when I got exposed to TikTok was through people in the industry were telling me, yo, you got to get this bag from this Chinese company. They're just paying everybody money to go on TikTok.
Yeah.
And I remember it was kind of a joke because they were just paying. I knew idiots that were getting paid $100,000 a month to go on TikTok. And then all of a sudden, there was this cultural shift and all the kids went on TikTok. And then it just became at what point did you recognize that TikTok was it?
Great question. So, I've been doing this. I've been in the YouTube and kind of influencer world since 2006. So I've been doing this for a long time now, whatever that is, 15, 16 years. And what I would always say is I've seen 100 platforms come and go. And at that time in end of 2019, when TikTok was kind of bubbling up, I was like, there's still only 2 people care about, which is YouTube and Instagram, even though we saw Vidi and Vine and all these things. So to my team at UTA, I was like, don't rush out and sign 50 TikTokers because it could all go away. And now you're stuck with all these clients. That's going to be difficult to represent. So I was like, let's just pump the brakes and observe. That was July until December of 2019. Then our office is closed for 2 weeks. I go on, Christmas break, and I have 2 kids one of them was 11 at the time. All he could talk about the entire Christmas break was TikTok. And now it was individuals popping up, Charlie and Dixie and these people. And then I hear him talking to his friends and it was TikTok. And I was like, shit, we might now be in a YouTube, Instagram, TikTok world.
Yeah.
So we came back in January of 2020 and I was like, let's heavily explore this. It seems real. And obviously now when I give this speech. I'm like, we live in a world of YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and you better be great at all three of them.
So were the D'Amelios clients of yours at UTA?
So I got lucky. So I get back in January of 2020. I have a full week of work to do, meetings and whatnot. And I had a phone call out of the blue from the D'Amelios. And they're like, hey, we're talking to agents and stuff. We've heard your name. There was this New York Times article about me like a month ago. It was all good timing. And I jumped on a plane, flew to New York, met with the D'Amelios, signed them, and became their agent.
Got it.
And then did that for about 6 months. Pandemic hits, their star power goes crazy, revenue goes crazy. They were having a difficult time coordinating their life and managing it. So I jumped ship and was like, if you have one person here that's overseeing all the elements, maybe you can really turn this into a long-term business.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like revisionist history, like TikTok was a sustained winner, pandemic winner. And a lot of the pandemic trends didn't actually last.
Everything else didn't.
Yeah, pretty
totally.
much everything else didn't.
Yeah.
And what was the inflection point in 2020 where they became like super popular to a business?
Fast. I mean, I'd say before the pandemic, February of 2020, they were super relevant. They were getting on Fallon. They were getting written about in mainstream magazines and mainstream culture, whatever publications. Brands were reaching out and it was a real thing. So I'd say March or April was when it was just like phone ringing off the hook. Every company in the world wanted to work with them, but it was before the pandemic. And I think the thing I say about it is, so again, I've been in the space a long time. When YouTubers got popular, if you had a YouTuber that had 3,650,000 subscribers, I would say 3,650,000 people know who this human being is, not one more.
Yeah.
Instagram, if you're a native Instagram person, your following was your entire fan base. For some reason, I have a lot of thoughts, when TikTokers became famous, mainstream entertainment just embraced them. And they put them on their talk shows. They put them on their, again, publications. And so if you had 1 million followers, 10 million people knew who you were. Just like if you're, if you're an actor on Stranger Things, your audience awareness is not your following. It's much more broader than that.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what happened with TikTok. They became
why
celebrities.
do you think that is?
I think a couple things. I think that on these other platforms, social media was kind of awkward and nerdy and geeky, so it wasn't so accepted by people. I think we've had 10 years now of social media, so the late 20s, 30s, and 40-year-olds that work at mainstream platforms and stuff are like, oh, these are the cool kids. These are not. When I was doing YouTube in 2006, we were not the cool kids. We were the weirdos in the basement. These became the cool kids. And high school kids thought they were cool. College kids thought they were cool. Yeah. So therefore, they just got
I remember
embraced.
just walking to agencies back then, like the digital department was like the worst office space.
100%.
They were like in the conference room.
How low can you go in the
no
building?
view. Like I remember going to every one of the firms and I'd be like, man, no one gives a shit about the internet in these companies.
100%.
Now it's like,
now they're the stars.
They're the stars.
Yeah, and I literally got to go through VidCon. The first year in VidCon was at some like terrible hotel in the basement with like 100 people there with like backpacks on, and like it was weird. And now it's Anaheim Convention Center, 30,000 people, blue chip brands there. So it's been a cool evolution.
Yeah, that is fascinating. What's also interesting is, so we've been talking about a lot on the pod recently about influencers and how like we're finding it harder and harder to believe that many of these folks, where they may be well known, they have a very, very hard time to sell product. And not just influencers, I think celebrities in general. Like we use the example of a Beyonce versus Rihanna, who Rihanna has been able to sell a lot of product, and Beyonce's kind of had some struggles in that department. What do you see as like what is it that makes someone able to actually sell product as opposed to just being really famous?
So again, another great question. And the amount of times I would have people, even before the D'Amelios when I was at UTA and had all these influencer clients, and marketers would come to me and they would show me a royalty split and they'd say, if they convert 2% of their audience, they're going to make $9 million. And I was like, it's not going to happen. Like, I just know it's not going to happen. So people need to be very careful with their assumptions of how much an influencer can move product. I mean, credibility is number one. All the shit that I'm going to say is cliche, but credibility is number one. So if you're a person who's been talking about makeup for 5 years and you've tried every single bit of makeup out there and you actually believe that this one makeup is better, you're believable. You're doing it. If you're somebody who's just super famous and you're on a TV show and makeup artists put on your makeup and you don't care and you talk about it, it just doesn't work. So I think that a real core knowledge of like the space they're in, the understanding of what they make. And then you got to dig into the analytics. Like you can look at somebody that has 1 million followers and they've been around for a really long time. 800,000 of them might not be active.
Yeah.
And, 100,000 of them might not be somebody who has any interest in this product. So you got to like drill deeper and deeper to understand like what is the actual attainable audience that you're even trying to, convert into a sale. And I think people miss that big time.
Yeah. And I think also on the internet, people see like a big headline number of how many followers they have. And, there's people in India and Thailand and all these countries that are followers of all these people. And unfortunately, they're not consumers. They're consumers of content. They're not consumers of goods and services. And I think, we're very fascinated by what Mr. Beast is doing. Yep. And we were saying on the podcast last week that like, to me, like he joked that he got offered $1 billion and he turned it down on some podcast last week. I saw that. He looks like a person that over a period of time is going to be able to sell things.
Correct.
Right. And when you're thinking about what you're doing with the D'Amelios, like, how do you position it? Because like outside looking in, it looks like you're building a Kardashian Jenner type situation. Go on TV. It's a family. Would that be accurate?
Yeah. I mean, I think when I left UTA and did this, that was certainly the analogy that I gave. We have the massive respect for them. They do an amazing job. And I will say, I think they could probably be the first to say not every single thing they do works. Yeah. And so I think we're trying to do things that, the girls would organically use. I mean, our number one example we give all the time is Charlie and Dunkin' Donuts. That is one of the best. It's like case studies in marketing because Charlie's, 18 now, since she was in 8th grade, drank this exact same Dunkin' Donuts thing every single day on the way to work.
Wow.
When she got famous on TikTok, she had the Dunkin' in her hand like at all times.
Yeah.
So now you can go into any Dunkin' in the world and order the Charlie. And it is a cold brew with whole milk and
I've spent
caramel.
a lot of time in the East Coast recently. Yep. I see it everywhere.
And it works. It makes sense. She's going to move a lot of Charlie. It's organic to her. So we're definitely trying to do things that, they're passionate about, they like, they support. There's something, good behind it, whether it's, a little more sustainable thing or whether it's, working with the right vendors and manufacturers. So we can tell a story. I mean, at the end of the day, brand is storytelling.
Yeah.
And, they have a cool story to tell and try to do that with all the companies we work with.
One of the things that I always, because just being around just talent for a long time as well, a lot of people want to start things, but like if you can make an impact on like a global brand, you'll probably make more money collecting a check than starting something. Very few people have done like Skims and Kylie Cosmetics. I mean, they're basically the only ones, and Rihanna. But like most people end up, going on this like adventure of starting a business because that's, what bosses do.
Fun,
and bosses have to own businesses. But like it doesn't convert into money. As an entrepreneur for 20 years, like there's a lot of years I made $0.
Yep.
And so I think like I'm just trying to like, how do you make the decision, hey, this is a business? Like you could also say, we should just open a coffee shop and we could be the next Dunkin' Donuts.
Well,
that sounds impossible to me, but it's possible.
Yeah.
But how did you guys when you guys have offers, like how do you think about it?
I mean, I literally have like a pie chart that I'm like constantly monitoring of, not being too skewed one way or the other. And it is, we make money from being in content. So the Hulu show pays money and, a record label deal pays money and the Snap show pays money. So that's like performance fees. Then there is brand stuff. So to your point, getting a check versus starting something. And we do run a P&L. And so we have, a whole team behind us. There's, a bunch of people that work for the family now, from content producers to, brand managers to day-to-day managers. So we're like, hey, this is how much money we need to make, in 2022 to pay the bills, put enough money away for the girls, all that stuff. And then we start there. Yeah. And we do start there. And then we say, okay, cool. And then we compare that to time that we have, right? So there's only so much time in the day we can do stuff. And then we're like, great. And, we'll be very selective. There's like a good example. There's a company called Step Mobile. Is, we love them. CJ and the team over there.
CJ was on the pod.
Oh, fantastic. He's the best. And so they approached us really early on as her kind of as the endorsement person. We structured a great deal that was like a big chunk of equity and some cash. That's like our, optimal deal. And they were like, like a $80 million company at the time, and it's all public. They raised it like, they're a unicorn company now. So that was a great one. So, and we were never building a financial services company for teens. So we got, a little bit of fee and a good amount of equity. And so we, again, it's a chess game and try to do enough that brings in money, but gives us, and we like lottery tickets. It's, nobody would be happier than, us to be like 5 years from now, one of these things works, but it's hard.
Yeah.
Equity's hard.
Yeah.
And how do you think about longevity? So you obviously took this job because you think they're going to last for a long time. TickTock kind of spawned like a new set of stars that never would have been stars.
Mm-hmm.
So what's unique about them, and how many of these, like, you obviously know the space, you're an expert. I would say there's like 15 to 20 TikTokers that everyone knows.
Mm-hmm.
How many last?
Listen, I think they can all last in terms of having careers in entertainment. One thing I've always said is I equate social media stars closest thing to musicians, in that they are themselves. They're kind of always on. They're always putting out new product. They have this relationship with their audience. And I've always said, like, with musicians, you have one-hit wonders that come and go. And I think there's a lot of influencers that do that. You have this kind of middle tier that capture an audience. Like, you can go to any 1,000 seat room in LA, and tonight there's going to be some band or some musician from the 80s that can fill a room with 1,000 people that found
still
them,
makes a living. Yeah.
And still makes a living. And then you have your Taylor Swift, Bruno Mars, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're going to be the same thing. So I think there's going to be a handful of Mr. Beasts and Emma Chamberlains and D'Amelios and Logans. And then there's going to be a lot that just have a cool career.
Yeah.
And for the next 20, 30 years, we'll just continue finding ways to entertain people and pay their bills.
What about, working with like young people, specifically Charlie and Dixie? They've made so much money already. Do you ever just wonder, like, they wake up and be like, I want to go to USC and join a sorority? Like, I mean,
It's a great question. Sure. Yeah.
Because my equate to that is Caleb Williams, who's the quarterback at USC.
Yeah.
He's going to make $10 million next year.
Totally.
What if he just says, I make $10 million.
Mm-hmm.
My head's in good shape.
Yeah.
Fuck it. I'm
Yeah.
done.
Yeah, you're talking about NIL. Like, he can stay in college and
Yeah.
make 10 million.
And I'm just saying, like,
No,
do you
agree.
ever feel like they could just be like, I just want to be a college student. It's fun.
Here's the thing. We set this thing up for them. So if they want to do that, fantastic. And we want them to be able to do that. And I think
probably couldn't go to
they won't go to college, but to your point, what if I just want to go to Bali for 2 years and chill? Like, they have enough money in their teen, or just travel the world, right?
Yeah.
And so we set it up so they can do that. And I think that with any person, if you have the ability to do that, it probably makes working a little easier because you're now feeling like you're working for passion as opposed to the paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
That all being said, I got to spend 6 months with them and mom and dad and whatever. They're super entrepreneurial. These are people who, they have a lot of friends now who have, private jets and 3 homes and all these things. And they like it. Everybody would like it. So, and they know that you have to work for it and you have to do some sacrifices. So my sense on them is they're really ambitious. They're, Charlie is a boss. Dixie, wants to be a superstar performer. And I think they have it in them.
Yeah.
But, fortunately for me, I've, been doing this again, almost 20 years. Like, if they do that, I'm sure there's, other places. I'll be the, 4th member on group chat, right?
So,
doesn't this pay the bills? This is amazing.
Where's the disconnect? So Charlie and the D'Amelios and Dixie are like, every teen's like, they're the queen, right?
Mm-hmm.
They worship them.
Mm-hmm.
They clearly are working their ass off. So
Mm-hmm.
my guess is they're probably working 12, 15 hours a day. But, or whatever the number is. They're doing meetings. They're like focusing on content.
They work super hard. Yeah.
Yeah. They're not just Netflix and chilling for 8 hours.
Why do young people not see like they're actually working? But because we think most young people are just lazy pieces of shit. So why doesn't it translate?
I don't think people think they work that hard. So I think that actually probably has a negative effect where people read a Forbes article and says Charlie made $17 million and it looks like she does 1 minute of work a day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's
because I just saw her 3 videos.
Yeah,
and that's
I just watched a TikTok and like it was 15 seconds times 3 is 45 seconds and maybe a break in between. And like, I can make $17 million a minute a day. So I actually think it probably has a negative effect. The TV show, the Hulu show, does peel back the layers and shows the amount of work and effort. But I don't know. I think kids are forming. Listen, I got a 13-year-old and an 8-year-old, and they wish they could play video games for a living.
Yeah,
for sure.
which they can.
They can. So it's
because I thought
complicated.
What was the most interesting? We talked about this in the last episode. Was I listened to Mr. Beast on Rogan, and how hard he works, and how maniacal he is on every detail of every video. It's like, why don't kids realize? This isn't like fly-by-night superstars.
Totally. And maybe they will when they get older. Maybe they'll join one of these companies or work for, some they're going to get a real rude awakening at some point in time. So hopefully they have the skills and mental, acumen to do it. But It's tough. It is. It does send a weird signal of somebody becoming so super successful off of by themselves making content online.
Right.
It's hard for a kid to realize how much work goes into it.
The other is like, full circle. I know Mark D'Amelio for like 20 years.
Yeah.
We used to travel together. He had a brand called Mad Soul and also had a showroom. And when I started 5'4", I would do these shows at Embassy Suite hotels all over the country.
Nice.
It was a very depressing scene.
Similar to VidCon early days.
Yes,
exactly.
Yes, but this show is still there, and it's the same people, and it has not changed.
Amazing.
And I mean, it was in Baltimore, it was in Philly, it was in Michigan, it was in Chicago.
Okay.
And, it's like, I'm at that point like 22, 23 years old, and I'm like, oh, I'm going in fashion. I'm going to Paris Fashion Week, whatever. No, I'm going in Baltimore at an Embassy Suite, waiting for the free happy hours, that manager's happy hour at 4 p.m. And that's where I met Mark and his good friend, Greg Keller. We all would travel together for years. And,
amazing.
And I remember vividly at Young and Reckless one day when someone was like talking about Charli D'Amelio. And I was like, oh, who's she? And they started telling me TickTock star. I was like, yeah, we should do something with her. And then I'm like, man, I know that last name. And I look on LinkedIn and I search Mark's name. I just start clicking on his social media. I was like, oh my God, I know her dad.
Crazy.
And then Mark messaged me, he goes, hey, Young and Reckless wants to do something with us. He's like, dude, we'll just rep it. Don't worry. And sent them clothes. And this was like probably spring 2020.
Yeah.
She would be wearing our stuff. And I was like, and then I remember when Mark finally moved out to LA, we connected, and it's crazy to see, like, because I've known him for a long time, and he knows we have a lot of mutual friends, and it's a testament to, like, I've never met his wife, but I would assume it's the same. Like, you're raising kids that are under 18 that are some of the most famous people on earth, and I've never met the kids, but like everyone seems really grounded.
Yep.
And Mark's super grounded. Like I know plenty of athletes' parents and kids' parents that like that shit goes crazy to their head, and the way they act and treat people is so out of pocket.
Yep.
And like credit to him, like if like he's held it down.
They're great parents. I mean, I would not have left UTA if it wasn't for Mark and Heidi.
Yeah.
I would have been Charli and Dixie's agent for a long time and see what happens there and let somebody else. But the second I got to know them, I use this phrase, like, the girls are still afraid of their parents. And like in that way, kids need to be afraid of their parents. To be like, I better clean my room. I better show up on time to do something. And the second that dynamic flips and the parents become afraid of the kids, you got a lot of problems. And I think that's what happens in most other situations. So then they start saying yes to the terrible behavior and the terrible actions. Mark and Heidi, like, run a tight ship and put their daughters first. And again, in season 1 of the show, like, there was a couple moments where we had, 2 weeks of this photo shoot and this event and this thing, and I get a phone call from them, and they're like, the girls are not doing well right now, like social pressure and whatever, shut it all down. And I'm like, okay. And it's a lot of crazy phone calls for me, but that's what we do. And it is their truly, and it sounds so cliche, like their mental health and their long-term happiness and all that is the first and foremost thing. And I do many other parent have, you're an SC guy, the former SC quarterbacks and stuff, like many a parent put the financial success of the family ahead of the happiness and health of the kid. And that does not happen here. Thank God.
Wow.
Or I wouldn't be there.
That's amazing.
Yeah. They're lucky. The girls are lucky. Like so many, they got lucky that, they got struck by lightning and this happened, and they got lucky that they had Mark and Heidi to go along for the ride. Yeah,
it definitely feels that way because we know like what this city does to people.
Totally.
Especially
in this 8 mile radius.
Yeah. 100%.
3 mile radius.
Yeah,
just from here to the mountains.
Yeah. That mountain is a scary place.
I agree. And the girls, they don't like it. They're not partiers. They're not like.
No, they're not. I would know. I'm out still. I don't see them.
No, they're great. Dixie's 21 now. So like she has enough friends that'll be like, come in, and like she comes in and does a lap and is like back home.
Yeah.
Go hang out with mom and dad. They go on vacations together, like all laugh. The parents are just like, don't you want to like go hang out with your friends? And like, no, we like hanging out with you guys.
That's amazing.
It's again very lucky.
So this is a topic that I've been screaming from the mountaintop for about 3 years, that TikTok is Chinese spyware. And it was so obvious to me right in the beginning, and I couldn't believe it took like another 3 years from there for everyone to realize it. And now you hear it bubbling. It baffles me that the U.S. allows TikTok in America. Is that talked about in content world? Like, hey, this thing might disappear.
Not anymore.
It's just too big to fail.
Yeah, it's too big to fail. It's too entrenched.
Right?
100%. I'm like,
spyware, whatever.
Dude, absolutely.
Let's just let one of our adversaries control the American public.
Listen, I'm sure, like, the fact that I'm sitting next to you right now, it's actually going to pick up like proximity on our phones. It's going to now pick up like it's an unbelievable algorithm.
We know,
man.
people.
So you speak fluent Mandarin.
Yeah, I have to.
As President Xi reached out to the D'Amelios.
We were joking.
I heard your last podcast. I know what a conspiracy theorist you are. So there you go.
We used to think like if we're and maybe you nod your head if this has happened before, but if I was the government of China, I would call the biggest stars on the platform, be like, hey,
here's $1 billion. Let's create chaos.
So the crazy thing is I've been outside things in my life and had either conspiracy theories or like, how did this happen? How did this person get there? So when the D'Amelios started, Illuminati, like what the fuck ever that means, but Illuminati was such a prevalent thing of like, it's impossible for Charlie to get to where she is without some help. So whether it's some cabal of Hollywood people, whether it's Illuminati, and I'm here to tell everybody it does not happen. Like this, they are normal people and it is real. So like, I do think there's a sense of conspiracy theories are really easy ways to explain things. We've never talked. There's a US team at TikTok and there are people I know from who used to work at YouTube or used to work at other spots. I know them. They all just got hired there to do their job. They're really nice. So I know it sounds like joke about it, but like we've never talked to anybody at the
CCP.
Whatever.
Tell us where COVID came from. You guys know.
You guys know where COVID started, right?
But I'll tell you, 2020 when Trump was there and it was kind of that May, June, July when he was doing his stuff. That was an existential crisis for sure. That was
because he was like, oh, it has to come and Oracle's going to buy it and this guy's going to buy it.
He was going to hand TikTok to Larry Ellison. That was the plan.
One of the crazier times in my life of every single day just being, and we were like negotiating, multi-year deals with huge companies that had deliverables for them of TikTok stuff. And then clauses in there of like, if it gets shut down, it's like, it was crazy. That was
so
a
if TikTok just, let's say,
not really
gets banned tomorrow.
Okay.
How do you change your strategy on staying relevant?
So from day one, like my first meeting with the D'Amelios in, again, January 2020, the first thing I said to them was, you got to be great on every platform. And they didn't know. They didn't come from social media. Yeah. So Dixie and Charlie are growing like, literally Charlie at that point is growing like 400,000 a day subscribers on TikTok. So in her mind, it's like, this is it. I'm just going to keep doing this. And we're just like, put as much effort into Instagram as you're putting into this. Immediately we put a YouTube strategy together. Then it was, what else do you want to do? We need to, again, at that point in time, we were starting about, do we have a venture fund at some point in time? Do we TV show, Hulu TV show came out of that meeting. So it was, can't put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
As simple as that.
That makes sense. Fascinating.
Yeah. Crazy
I can't
experience.
believe this platform. It's just like,
it's great.
It's the most insane thing.
Yeah.
As much as I criticize it, we get the most views on TikTok.
Of course. I mean,
we get millions of views a week on TikTok.
It's great. It is the amount of time. So another thing I've always said about social media world is you have to look at each platform differently. So YouTube is the closest thing ever to television. And the way I would say that is 99.9% of people that watch YouTube do not make YouTube videos. 99.9999% of people watch TV, don't make TV shows. Then you have like the total opposite end of the spectrum from like Facebook, which is like pretty much 100% of the people that consume Facebook also make content for Facebook. Instagram's kind of in between. TikTok is much more like YouTube. So TikTok has become TV.
Yeah.
It's become video content that you have really good creators making, and then you have all the rest of the billion people just sit back watching it.
Yeah. And it's just so well curated for your interest. Like I just get served.
It's amazing.
Yeah. I just get served Indian comics all day.
There you go.
That's what I get served.
Yeah.
I get Fobby Indian comics.
I get Kobe motivation every day. I get some clip of like some Kobe story that comes.
That's insane. And I get cooking and where to eat in Los Angeles. And I like fucking cooking and going to restaurants. So it's incredible.
That's amazing. Yeah. Well, let's dive into some news. I'm gonna, you're gonna stay with us the whole episode.
Yeah,
right?
we'll kick it. Why not?
Okay, great. So I think this is the most fascinating. There's a lot of things happening in the world. I'm going to say that this was the biggest news of the week. MacKenzie Scott is filing for divorce after 1 year of marriage. I am like...
Are you shocked?
I am shocked because I think, was her marriage like a revenge thing?
And it was like his school teacher.
Yeah.
That's who she married. And
why didn't she just date him?
Yeah, it's what Jeff Bezos is doing.
Yeah.
He's just globetrotting the world with his girlfriend.
I mean... Again, I have no any knowledge of these people's relationship, but this certainly seemed kind of like a reaction to something of like, I want to jump into somebody new to make me feel good because I'm sure there was some embarrassment, and then I want to be the most polar opposite
of
to
Jeff
whatever
Bezos.
Energy that he had, and somebody who's nurturing and cares about teaching and kids and stuff like that. And the answer is maybe that's not what she likes.
Yeah,
maybe the other energy was more like, you know, the world domination takeover.
Yeah.
She was with that person for a long time and had kids, so
yeah, they obviously had a connection. She was
like,
into that type of person.
They're talking about how to divide real estate and other personal property. So did this guy catch a bag?
Not that bag. Listen,
I mean, if
it's a huge bag, then she's got to talk to her friends and lawyers.
I mean, what real estate does this guy deserve? He deserves nothing.
He was a science teacher. So what does he have? Like a townhome?
What does he get? Like 75
house up in? Do they live in Seattle? I imagine
Yeah,
somewhere up there. Like go give him like a $3,000 square foot house in like Kirkland, and you know, whatever.
Does he become like K-Fed? Does he have like a career after?
For years, he shows up everywhere she is.
He's like, oh shoot, that's Mackenzie's ex-husband.
Nothing would make me happier than this guy. I'll represent him on TikTok if that's what happens.
I'm curious what her next move is with a relationship. Is she going to go back to like the super type A?
Elon should date her.
Oh my God, that would be such an epic disaster.
Bezos and Elon hate each other.
They hate each
I know,
other.
that would be the biggest.
You heard it here first. Elon
I
is sliding
guarantee
into the
you,
DMs tonight.
He's going to troll and have dinner with her.
Yeah, and take like a video and post it.
Yeah,
that would be amazing. I would be all for that.
That would be insane.
That'd be
Elon
hilarious.
would 100% date her.
Oh yeah, of course.
He seems to not care very much about anything, so go for it.
I'm just surprised. I still like just at the speed that she's moving in terms of like a relationship, given that she was married to this guy. And like,
so I'm more surprised at the marriage than I am at the divorce.
Yeah. The marriage is definitely
that to me. I was like, wow. To your point, take some time. I think they have kids together. Like, let everybody adjust, and to your point, find who you like next. And so it seemed
you could have dated the guy for a year.
It's gotta suck for her because everyone, when they see Jeff Bezos, they now say he's living his best life. He's got a six pack. He's buff. He's on $500 million yachts. He's sitting at the Thursday night football game,
laughing away, and he was an embarrassment 2 years ago.
He was an embarrassment, but also it's like he's living his best life. That means all his life with MacKenzie now is like, was his worst life? What are people? I mean, it's got to suck.
Yeah, this stuff is tough. I'm sure. For both of them.
Man,
hope the kids are good.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
All right, this is a company we've been talking about all the time, DocuSign, which I'm still baffled to have a staff. Period. I mean, it's just it
doesn't seem like there's been a lot of evolution of the product since 10 years ago I used it. But
so they're laying off 9%, and dude, check the severance: 12 weeks of pay, plus 2 months of accelerated stock vesting. Tech companies are so generous when they can you.
Yeah.
12 weeks.
This is crazy.
Like, I don't know what's in Hollywood.
Two if you're a new employee, 4, 6 if you've been around for a while. 12 weeks is crazy. Yeah, and that's awesome for those. That's a summer vacation. Yeah, exactly. You basically have 3 months. Plus, then you can go on unemployment. Yeah,
but I think 9% is probably light. I don't think companies are making the cuts they need to, because the stock market's one thing; it's been crushed. I really don't think the real economy has been hit yet in a real meaningful way, and it always, like, DocuSign doesn't make money. Like, I think tech companies have to be the most aggressive, especially growth tech. And I don't know, 9% sounds light for a company that doesn't make money.
I agree. I mean, we all had businesses up in 2008, and 2008 was that time where, businesses got hurt, right? Mm-hmm. Lehman Brothers, and then people start slashing. I don't think we have felt that yet, so that's terrifying to me.
Like, unemployment numbers were good.
They're incredible.
That's why the stock market crashed. Yeah. How funny is that?
I don't understand.
You see good news, it's toast.
But I do think the death by 1,000 paper cuts is tough. So you do 9%, and then you got to do 9% a month from now. I think all your employees start applying it for other jobs.
Right. Yeah, you're better off doing 75% up front and just get it done. I mean, DocuSign. What are they doing there? It's just a little app you send and you sign. I mean, how many people do you need to do that?
I have no idea. But it did strike me as a little light, which is sad, but I'm like, strange number.
Yeah, I know. We need more. I mean, the Fed said we need more unemployment. Do us a favor.
Right? Are you seeing a shift in advertising?
Tesla stock will jump back up.
Sorry to interrupt. Yeah. Are you seeing a shift in like advertising budgets? Like, do you see people saying, look, we want to spend X, but now we're going to spend Y?
Yes, 100%. Things are soft and things are tricky out there. I think that it's interesting. On one side, I think people are cutting spending and, from places that were more experimental. Where we sit, we're kind of almost like a must-have buy, but what's happening is people are asking us for more. So where we would come from the conversation, deliverables. It was, what might have been one TikTok might now be two TikToks. So I think they feel they need to spend the money, but they need to get more out of it. Yeah. Or they're not spending the money. It's kind of like there's not a lot in between where, because they can't really go to people and say, hey, we used to pay you this, we're going to pay you 30% less. People kind of say no to that. Yeah. But they want more.
Interesting.
It's people are scared for sure.
Yeah. I mean, this is the most scary news because we always like, when are people going to stop spending money? Mm-hmm. And they've stopped spending money basically everywhere. Mm-hmm. And we thought Apple was like impenetrable. Yep. Like, can Apple actually slow down? And the stock has taken a pretty big beating in the last 2 days because iPhone 14 demand. It's still high. It's not like it's bad. It's just not as high as people thought it was going to be.
Yeah. So they revised from 96 million units sold to 90 million. And the 96 million was an increase that they had done earlier in the year. So they kind of just mismanaged expectations. But I thought what was interesting is the analyst at Wedbush that covers it has a $220 price target still and an outperform. And his reasoning was that 85% of the iPhone 14 mix is the iPhone Pro, which is the most expensive version.
So the margins are better.
And last iPhone cycle, it was only 65% for the most premium. So they're saying, well, to your point, rich people are still spending because the iPhone Pro is the way more expensive than the more affordable version.
That's in thesis with what we're seeing is that luxury market has pretty much not been hit at all.
Right.
I mean, our friend Brian's in Paris, Toll. He said that the Chanel store
can't get an appointment or something.
Can't get an appointment. They said go wait in line. He's like, you have to literally wait in line to even buy anything.
And that bag's not available either. The Kelly.
That's an Hermes.
Hermes.
But but you can't buy that.
Our friends are trying to bully him to buy his wife a Kelly. I don't know how expensive it is, but I'm assuming it's very expensive.
They're like 40 grand or something crazy for a bag. Amazing.
But like and he said the streets are slammed with shoppers. Wow. So obviously all just disgusting Americans going and pounding on that cheap euro and just like, fuck it, let's go to Hotel Coast, stay in La Maurice for 40 days, like whatever, it doesn't matter.
I mean, it's 30% off from last year.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And luxury goods are 40% off when you get the VAT.
Yeah.
But I guess the Apple question is it 96 to 90 now, but 90 to 80 later? Like, I think, is this just a little blip or I don't know. Will people come back?
I used to be maybe because I'm older and have kids and I don't give a shit anymore. But like when I was younger, I wanted every new iPhone and I always got them. Yep. Now I'm basically keep this phone till it cracks and breaks and doesn't work. But I'm just shocked that people are like buying a new iPhone every year. I mean, it's a similar conversation with our friend who, which segues into the next topic, Ollie from Car Trackers, who is in the used car business. I was like, why are all these people always buying new cars? Like, he's like, people just want a new car. Mm-hmm. And I don't have that urge or give a shit. So like, I'm not that person.
Yep.
But to that, CarMax came out today and basically shit the bed and said that used car sales have basically plummeted. I've read a ton of articles on repossessions of people who have leased cars because the cars payments people have, like I've been on the market for a minivan. It's $950 a month right now for a Chrysler Pacifica.
Chrysler?
Yes. The model that I want.
Wow, that's very high.
Ollie even sent me one for like a Kia van was $900 a month.
That's crazy.
This is another pandemic trend that didn't last. The used car market.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a market. It's just different prices.
Yeah.
It's not at these prices that we're seeing today. And I just like,
But it's definitely buying. I mean, unless your car's broken, buying a car is something you can hold off on.
Yeah.
And I just think we're in that hold off moment.
Yeah.
Which is shitty for the economy, but that seems to be one of those places where I'm like, take another 3 months to not upgrade your car right now.
Yeah.
If I was advising
like
a friend.
I need a car right now.
Yeah.
I literally do not have a car right now. I am renting a car from Sixth. I literally signed up today. I'm going to rent a car for a month, 2 months, 3 months.
Oh, wow.
And it's not cheap, but it's not super expensive. And it just lets me decide what car I want to get.
Yeah. The scary part right now in September of 2022, it's just people's mind shift. But they haven't really felt it in their wallet because wage growth is still strong, unemployment's still low. So we're going to see behavior change before they're actually hit in their pockets.
Exactly.
And then you're going to see the first quarter of next year. That's when I think it's going to be like a complete disaster for the economy. And then the Fed will get real excited and then the stock market go back up.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is we saw what's happened in England yesterday. Apparently, England was like 6 hours away from just complete collapse.
Yeah,
wow,
the Bank of England had to backstop their debt. So there was a massive... So this is the chain of events.
The new prime minister.
New prime minister has sweeping tax cuts across the economy. Investors didn't like it and started selling off everything, the pound, their debt. And so there was a debt crisis for like 24 hours and the Bank of England had to step in and backstop the debt. What the interesting thing is they were willing to backstop up to $5 billion, but they stabilized the bond market at $1 billion. So they didn't have to buy more than $1 billion. So the sell-off stopped. That economy is in trouble.
Yeah. I thought you were going to move there.
Get a cheap place.
Sounds like the right time. Lots of Chanel stores there.
Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, London's just a place of expats. They're not worried about the London economy. They're just eating good food.
They're just enjoying it.
Going to hitting the clubs, the private clubs. Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting to see. The problem is like there's just too much global turmoil between what's happening in Russia, China, Iran. I heard some crazy Iran conspiracy theories today. No, I don't want to be you and just spread fake news.
I'm the fake news guy. Huh?
Yeah, you're talking about Xi getting overthrown.
Yeah. I mean, it was trending worldwide on Twitter.
Yeah, well, it's probably some secret organization.
We're gonna get all this weather stuff too. This is the time of year we have hurricanes going to be insane. And the weather is more extreme without whatever, and then wintertime is probably going to be some disaster, everyone's snowed in and stuff, can't spend money.
Even
so
just how many stores are closed, how many people are affected by what happened in Florida.
Yeah,
for sure.
2.5 million people are without power in Florida.
That has to impact stuff big time. So a lot of pieces right now. And it does just have this feel of like, again, 2008, I wasn't alive in the Great Depression, but it felt like there was just this like massive moment where everything was shit, everything went to rubble, and then it was like a rebuild.
Yeah.
This feels like 7 months of just like this, like, where are we? What are we doing? Whatever. Yeah. And it almost feels worse.
Yeah, because you'd rather just rip it off.
Totally, right? With anything, just get through this terrible moment and then everybody collectively rebuild. It's like,
I saw a cartoon, I think it was a New Yorker or something. It's just like global economy, and it's like basically being held together by like an iPhone.
Yeah.
I mean, every meme is...
Until today.
Honestly, every aspect of the global world politics, economy, you name it, it's the meme of like the guy with the fire behind burning down. It's everything.
Yeah.
And, I was reading about the hurricane that since 2020, because of global warming, because the temperatures are rising in the ocean, because the warm waters is what creates the hurricanes. And typically before 2020, hurricanes would reduce intensity as they hit land. And because of the warm waters now, it's intensifying as it hits land.
Wow.
So the destruction is going to compound year over year every time one of these things hit.
Well,
that's crazy.
And not to be insensitive, but somehow the NFL always avoids it.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers are playing at home on Sunday.
They got the home game. They finally got it.
It's why? Because nothing stops the NFL.
For sure.
There's NFL, God, everybody else.
Yeah, how does the opposing team even land into Tampa? Even if Tampa is good weather, I mean, where do they have to fly like 3 hours around the
driving from New Orleans or something?
Nothing stops. NFL's unbelievable. Nothing affects it.
I guess that's when we'll know. We're really in trouble.
If NFL ever cancels a game, then we'll know
that
they're
30% fans off of NFL. We're building a bunker somewhere.
Yeah, and by the way, that game will be slammed with people.
Oh, it'll be 100%. Packed. Yeah. It's Tom Brady.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
And who are they playing?
It's Kansas City. It's Sunday night.
It's
Sunday night football, by the way. This is the game. Yeah.
Oh my God. So they would have had to move it to
in Minnesota. It would have been insane. It would have been the NFL is very happy this happened. This is their giant ratings thing of the week.
Yeah.
Marquee game.
So insane.
Yeah. It's so crazy.
Yeah. Pat Mahomes versus Tom Brady. Give me a break.
I actually think it's in the flip side is I actually think it's good for Florida because like one, no matter what you say, all those people in town for a football game is going to create a lot. Sure. Hotels will be packed. Yep. Restaurants will be full. The weather's already better in Florida. It's just now the flooding and the destruction. Specifically, Fort Myers looks like the place that was hit the hardest.
Yeah.
But
it's that western coast of Florida that got crushed.
Yep.
Which is crazy. Super sad.
Yep.
All right, real quickly. You know, when we talk about our ledgers, we always talk about those seed phrases that you cannot lose. So we're trying to think through like, where are the safest places to keep it? Our mom has a safe, actual physical safe.
Yeah, she does.
I think people underestimate the importance of a safe at a home. Like, I want to get a safe just because like there's certain things that are so valuable to us.
What would you put in your safe?
Pictures.
Okay.
Even though they're digital, like there's hard pictures that I have from years ago. Even our just wedding stuff. We have like a wedding digital photo album of all of our stuff. I'd put that in the safe. I'd put my passport in the safe. I'd put my ledger seed phrases. Because the thing about it is you can't lose those keywords.
No, you can't.
And I made a mistake early on in my crypto days of putting my seed phrases saved on my computer. And it doesn't. That's a no-no.
That's a big no-no, especially I'm assuming that computer was connected to the internet.
Unfortunately, it was.
Yeah.
So I learned my lesson, and now my seed phrases are hidden somewhere, and I've hid it in 2 different locations, physical locations. But I was thinking about like, how do you do it? And I think it's really a safe. And there's even something called crypto steel. It's like a little magnetic steel wallet that can protect your key phrases. But you can't lose. You can lose your ledger because that's not the end of the world. Because if you lose it, no one else can even access your device because after 3 tries, it's gone. Mm-hmm. And then you can actually get a backup device, enter your PIN and your seed phrase, and continue to access all your crypto. It's pretty fascinating that that's possible to do.
Yeah. Seed phrases, just my experience with seed phrases, I was in an ICO for Tezos years ago. This was during the crypto boom of 2018 and didn't think any of it. Tezos had like a 2-year hiatus and forgot everything. And I had seed phrases and then Tezos took off. And I was like, where the fuck are my seed phrases? And luckily it was in a random drawer in my desk and I was able to recover it and I sold it immediately. So seed phrases are important.
They're very important. So once you buy your ledger at shop.ledger.com, you can then get your seed phrases, which they provide to you, if I recall. All you have to do is keep it safe. It's not that hard. I have some random shit from like 25 years ago hiding in my house. I still have. I'm sure I can keep a seed phrase safe. Yep,
absolutely.
All right, let's get back into it. Here's another thing we've talked about on the podcast that we kind of made fun of, but is now like the hottest shoe in America. So when Crocs bought Hey Dude for $2.5 billion, I was like, I have never even heard of this brand.
Yeah.
And so the Wall Street Journal basically did a story on the founder and have you heard of Hey Dude?
The first I heard of it was your podcast.
Okay.
Yeah.
So funny enough, they reached out and they sent us shoes.
Hey, there you go. Fantastic.
So Wall Street Journal headline is the beer koozie-like shoe that is selling out across America. I got a pair of the shoes and look, they're comfortable. I get it. Priced really well. It's like $60, $50. And I later learned that like, especially our listeners are like, oh, my dad has 10 pairs. oh, my grandpa has 15 pairs. My brother has 10 pairs.
Wow.
They're comfortable. They're inexpensive. They kind of are very utilitarian. I was trying to explain to somebody, I'm like, if you look at like the needs of a man, one of the needs is a shoe that you could just slip your feet into.
Absolutely.
Like, I would say that's like one of the top needs of a man. Like, you should be able to, even like, I'm wearing a clog. I'm wearing the Alice Gray clogs. Like, you just want to leave your house and go like this.
Yeah.
If you could do that, just slide into something, you're already in a better position. Even the shoes I've tied, I've never untied them.
These shoes have not been untied since the day I put them on. I slip my shoes on.
You just shove your feet in.
Those sound, if they had a Jordan or Dunk lookalike of those, I'd be all in.
And when Crocs bought this company, I think they're doing $500-600 million. They're projected at the end of the year to do $1 billion.
Insane.
Why do they call it a beer koozie?
Because it looks like a. You have to look have you seen it? It's in the office somewhere. It's just basically like this. It looks like a cover for your feet.
And they're just advertising comfort and ease.
Was this a COVID thing where everyone was home and comfortable? Do you think that was a part of it?
No, I think it was always.
This company's been around a while?
Been around a long time. And a lot of the retailers in the shoe space, Brown Shoe Co. owns a chain. I forgot what the name of the chain is called. They have 73 stores. They said it's their number one selling shoe.
It's wild.
And I think one of the things, and I'm sure you realize this in your world, is that everyone just assumes like brands are what people in New York and LA wear, when it's really, they're not representative of the country.
100%.
And we realized that early on, is that all, like, even when you think about venture dollars, all the venture dollars went to making product for people that live in the West Village and people who live in West Hollywood.
Yeah.
And they represent no buying power.
Yeah, correct. It's the typical flaw with a lot of private equity firms, especially in consumer and venture and
private equity. They didn't really buy that VC stuff.
No, my point was that they invest in stuff that they know. So a partner at a private equity firm or a venture firm will be like, oh, this high-end athleisure brand is what my wife likes, not thinking no one in Ohio or Minnesota or Alabama cares about that or can afford it. And they started backing a lot of high-end products that ended up being disasters.
100%.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to see, like, this is $1 billion footwear brand.
It's crazy.
Just sitting in the middle of the country.
That not one person, if you went to the restaurants and shit here, have heard of.
No,
it's like, why do you think Peloton was able to raise so much money? Because everyone's like, oh, my wife loves the Peloton.
Yeah.
Some partner at a private equity firm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We are.
Or in this case, that case, venture
out here. That's
both.
For sure.
They got both. They double dip. Peloton.
Yeah, they got everybody.
They scammed the venture guys and the private equity guys,
and then Retail Joe got held.
And those guys got out at the peak.
But the rowing machine's going to save the whole thing.
Exactly.
Well, now Peloton officially sells through Dick's Sporting Goods.
Okay.
That's who's walking into Dick's to have a $2,000 purchase?
$3,000 purchase.
Yeah. Gonna be a tricky ride for them.
You're a real dickhead if you go to Dick's and buy a Peloton.
Especially when they're selling the comparable bike for like $600. I saw a Peloton ripoff at Target the other day. It was like $4.99.
And can you watch something? Is there just like on demand?
Yeah, they're like, put your fucking phone on.
Yeah, exactly.
You have an
I think that's the thing. The thing they thought people were gonna want to stay with the content a lot longer. Yeah. That seems like
I did see someone tagged me in a TikTok of a basketball hoop that's a screen. Like where you get to watch
oh my God.
Like a game or something while you play basketball. I was like, I kind of like that. It's kind of cool. It's a very like probably the only consumers of that are like Drake, like Michael Rubin.
People are gonna love that.
People like that,
and good for them.
Their TAM's not big.
Yeah, it's like 14 people.
Charge $5 million each.
Okay, this is right up your alley, Greg. It looks like the YouTube stars Dude Perfect are building $100 million headquarter and entertainment. It looks like basically their version of Disneyland.
Yeah, love it.
Where is it going to happen?
It said North Texas, but they're also kind of, talking to LA, Atlanta, other big cities. But I think it's cool. Listen, there's no denying the future brands that, again, my kids, your little kids, whatever, are watching are coming from the internet and
Blippi Land
and Mr. Beast World and all these things. And they are insanely powerful. And I think anybody who it's unless you live in this world, unless you have little kids, you don't understand. So when I do talk to peers or people at, entertainment companies, they don't get it. But the power that a Dude Perfect has over a 12 to 25-year-old audience is insane.
Yeah.
So I think it's awesome. I think that, and then on the flip side, you got to make it an amazing experience.
Yeah.
So I think some of the problems of the internet is people think they can slap their name on something or be half-assed about it. So if these guys go and build, what is an incredibly fun place, I think the fans will line up.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we were talking about. Like, could Mr. Beast be like the next Walt Disney? Who are these? Like,
yes,
I think that like people are underestimating how powerful some of these groups are.
Yeah,
but they also need the right partners.
I'm just reading the stats. Absolutely. So the 5 Dude Perfect dudes: Tyler, Tony, Cody Jones, Garrett Hilbert, and twins Kobe and Corey Cotton. They're based in Frisco, Texas. I've never even heard of Frisco, Texas.
Yeah, it's kind of outside Dallas.
And they've generated 15 billion views to date.
Yep. And I mean, they're always on every one of these lists of like their collective is making 30, 40, 50 million dollars. They had like 6 years ago, they had a line of Nerf products. Like you literally go into Target and every single Nerf thing was Dude Perk because that's their whole kind of shtick. They're massive. And then the sports organizations, NBA, PGA Tour, everybody's obsessed with these guys. So it's like that Hey Dad shoe. It's like if you don't know about it, you don't know about it. If you know about it, you're like, yeah, obviously these guys are massive. And they just have to do it well. And media companies are great. Like the experience you get at Disneyland, the experience you get of watching, a Pixar movie, like it's as good as Ferrari is at making a car. Yeah. So once these guys get the funding and the teams around them, I think it's going to, 10 years from now, it's gonna be really weird.
How old are these guys?
They're like late 20s, early 30s. Okay. Maybe mid 30s by now.
If one of the Dude Perfects leave, do they suffer?
Nope. There's probably, it wouldn't be great, but there's one or two of them that are definitely like the founders, and they do have a cool little collective. I think one or two leave, they'd be okay, but it's a brand.
Okay. Is there a Justin Timberlake and an NSYNC situation?
Probably.
Okay. The other thing I think is fascinating is like, why hasn't like Bob Iger should be Mr. Beast's partner.
I guarantee the phone calls have been made.
Yeah.
Whoever, by the way, I'll bet you whoever was talking about buying him for $1 billion was one of these media things
Roll-ups,
you're seeing of the, God, who did Quibi and DreamWorks?
Jeffrey
Katzenberg. Kevin Mayer, who left Disney to have his own thing, Candle. Obviously, Iger, Chernin.
Yeah.
These are the guys. Yeah. By the way, and
they're
kudos
kingmakers,
to them. They're kingmakers, and they quickly went and embraced this world. And so Kevin Mayer's company, Kevin was like number 2 at Disney and left to do this thing. He's the one that bought this company called Moonbug, which is Blippi and Coco Melon.
Yeah, we were just talking about it. I can't believe like how big we see Blippi on YouTube, and now I see him on Netflix. Yeah. Now I see him at Walmart. Yeah. Now, I mean, Blippi is like its own little $1 billion franchise.
Absolutely. And the other thing too is in entertainment, there's so much IP, there's so many things, especially in the kid space, that if you get one, it's literally game over. And,
like isn't Haim Saban from
he's
Beanie
Power
Babies
Rangers.
or Power Rangers?
Yeah, he's Power Rangers.
So is the Beanie Baby guy. He's a bazillionaire.
Go right now. If you go, I mean, it's literally Mickey Mouse and it's Winnie the Pooh. These things are like 70 years old. And then the only one, there was like a 10-year period of time where like Paw Patrol was the only one that kind of like the next one. And that was like 10 years. And now you kind of have Blippi and Coco Melon, but it's if you can lock into kids IP, game over. That's a great space to be.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
Because we were saying this, there's always a new 3-year-old who is with a parent who needs to take their attention so they can go do something else.
Yeah, and I don't think people like, until you have kids, you don't realize how kids are obsessed with these things.
Correct.
Like my 2-year-old had never been, we don't really have the TV on, but like we showed him Sesame Street just to get like, he wasn't interested in Elmo. He saw one episode of Blippi Garbage Truck. Yep. And he is just like, he points at the TV and comes to me and goes, garbage truck, garbage truck, garbage truck.
So I always wonder, and you might know the answer to this, especially with kids content, do they have like kid psychologists on staff that like this will resonate? Because there's a handful of.
You think Blippi's that scientific?
I don't know, but you were saying that your son liked one Blippi but not another Blippi.
Yeah, he doesn't like the Netflix Blippi. He only likes the YouTube.
How do certain things resonate with all kids?
So real quick story on Blippi is that he was a kind of like actor, jack of all trades type guy. He was at his sister's house. She has a 2-year-old. She handed him an iPad, and the kid watched garbage trucks, real garbage, going in circles for an hour. He drives home, and he's like, there's got to be a better way, like the typical thing. He spent 6 months learning early childhood development. So he learned.
There we go. That answers my question.
So Blippi's a genius.
Maybe I'm a genius because I solved it.
Blippi's a fucking genius. And I'm not being, he did it all. And he has, I've seen all the paperwork and the charts and whatever. He learned that kids learn how to speak from the front of their mouth, making buh and puss, not the back of their mouth, like cuss sounds. So he had like 1,000 words that had these things, repeating vowel sounds kids remember. Orange is for creativity, blue is for like comfort.
Yeah, I like this.
Guy's a genius.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
So I have Blippi all wrong.
No, he cracked a code, and then from day one when he put out Blippi, it was rocket ship.
So my running theory is right.
Yes, listen, at Nickelodeon, at Disney, they absolutely have people who are experts in early childhood development, and so things that will excite kids, things that will make them comfortable, topics, colors, all that stuff. It's real.
Let's give all that info to China.
They have it now.
They already had it. Don't worry. Oh man, I'm blown away by Blippi. We just,
yeah,
he's a genius.
He is a genius.
Except that one video he did.
Not everyone's perfect. Jesus, D.
Dude, perfect.
All right, last topic. We've been talking a lot about quiet quitting. Now the tables have turned, economy's falling apart. Quiet firing. That's a hot new topic.
That's hilarious.
Quiet quitting went to quiet firing in 3 weeks.
Oops.
Well, number one topic on Wall Street Journal 3 weeks ago was quiet quitting. Number one topic today is quiet firing.
Makes sense.
I mean, that's basically your boss is starting to not include you in certain meetings. That is the equivalent. So they're not inviting you to something. They're not including you in a conversation. Next thing you know it, you're on the outs. You're canned. Because and this is the problem. It's crazy how many people don't realize like we're in a recession and that if you don't put 150% right now, you're on the chopping block.
And almost nearly all industries are going to have layoffs.
Correct.
The economy's slowing across the board.
Google's going to lay off people. They have record cash.
And they don't need to. They just know they can't.
They have to.
They're like, might as well.
Yep. It's the time. Yeah. I mean, listen. Sometimes things in life are very obvious. So if you're an employee who spent the last 3 months not doing your job, the tables are going to turn. Yes. Sometimes things are going to come around. So I think there's probably obviously a big impact on the economy and whatnot, but like, do your job.
Yeah.
Like, and not, nobody needs to be a slave to their corporation. If you're not fulfilled, you're not happy, go find something else. But I do think it's a very funny topic. And like I said, in the last 20 years of my life, I've seen these topics be like, this is so absurd, and usually,
what's going on at agencies? Are they still throwing staplers at assistants' head, or that's not over?
No, they had to definitely evolve in the 2000s just to be a little kinder and gentler, and then honestly, the Me Too and all that stuff like hit the agencies the hardest of anybody. So
cleaned up,
massive behavioral changes, massive changes in leadership and internal. Like they are awesome places to work now from a culture standpoint, and they all are like preach culture, and they do a great job. I love being at UTA. It was awesome.
Nobody is better trained than an assistant at an agency.
100%.
They can do anything because it's such a miserably hard job.
It's a grind. You're told from day one there's 1,000 people that will take this job if you don't want it.
Yeah.
So that definitely drives a person to work hard.
Like the mailroom level?
That's the mailroom level. Yeah. Everybody, it's, each year there's a new class that come in and they're really like Ivy League students.
I knew a kid from Harvard that was in the mailroom. Like, what are you doing? Go be a banker, be a millionaire.
Literally getting somebody mail. But it's fun. Once you, there's not a better job in the world if once you make it and you're around culture and you're around projects that are impacting millions of people, the money is obviously very good. And you're not actually the one like doing the work, so setting things up.
You're just having lunch at the grill.
It's a fantastic job. But they are really well trained. They're great at calendaring and phone calls. It's a good environment to learn.
Unbelievably well trained.
Yeah.
Any agency kid.
And discipline. And the whole, 20 somethings who don't love to work and aren't great doesn't cut it in that environment. So you do get a lot of really, high octane people.
Amazing.
Yep.
We usually do winners, losers content. I don't know if you have a winner, loser, or content you want to recommend. I'll let Anand kick it off with the winner.
My winner is pickleball. So it announced today, LeBron James is basically part of an expansion team. He's the money behind it. And it's the MLP.
I don't believe pickleball is going to be a thing.
If you look at who the owners are, it's smart money. LeBron is and his team, they're very savvy investors. Other owners in the league, Mark Lazary, of the Milwaukee Bucks. He's a hedge fund billionaire. Drew Brees has a team. So these are like pretty prominent people entering pickleball. And think about it, right? Like it doesn't have to be the NBA. It could be a niche thing. Like you turn on ESPN, like there's lacrosse on sometimes.
Yeah, but does it make real money?
I guess it depends.
Yeah.
Think about it from a return perspective.
I like it. That's fun. I play it. I find it hard to think. Like I'll give one like Live Golf. I'm a huge golf lunatic.
Yeah.
I'm a golf lunatic. I would bet it's not going to work.
Wow.
Yeah.
We've talked about
we love Live.
Yeah. And just as a like I watch every single hour of golf on TV every single weekend. I'm a lunatic and I have not watched 1 second of Live Golf.
Well, I think the problem was no one knew where to watch it, right?
Even if
and
it
I
was
saw they're
on,
doing like a Fox deal.
They might get a Fox deal, but then you read the fine. They have to produce their own content, sell their own advertising. Fox is like, sure, you can pay us a licensing. You can pay us a fee to put your content on. But I think pickleball is one of those things where it's like, do I want to sit around and watch pickleball and then fall in love like pickleball stars? We'll see. Jury's out, but it's interesting.
Yeah, but to have LeBron in your league is a win for now.
It's dope, I think, and he brings a lot of audience for sure. So there you go.
Yeah, I'm calling that an L. Do you have a winner?
A winner this week, whoever dates MacKenzie Bezos. The next dude in her DMs.
That'll be a winner for life.
100%.
My winner is Aaron Judge.
Nice.
He hit the 61st home run of the season for the Yankees yesterday. Seems like a big deal. And then I was asking in the chat, like, that's not even the record because Barry Bonds has the record.
Well, some people think 61's the record.
Why? Because Barry Bonds on steroids?
Well, there's two things. There's one is Barry Bonds steroids. So Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, Barry Bonds all have more than 61.
Yeah.
They all have 70 or whatever. And then the other thing is they were on the National League. So this is the American League.
Yeah.
And so you can kind of be like, oh, this is the American League record at the very
Maybe
least.
American League is just, I don't know.
And I think you feel pretty confident that Aaron Judge is not on steroids. So
you think so?
He's pretty big.
He's like a
But
big
he's
ass
just
dude.
a giant dude. The guy's like
I've seen him out in public once. I was like, that guy's a monster.
I mean, with sports stars.
Well,
Go ahead.
Actually, the thing is, Barry Bonds at 25 years old versus Barry Bonds at 32 years old is two different human beings.
Yeah.
Aaron Judge has been like this the entire
maybe
time
he started
since
early.
high school.
Yeah, maybe he started if you started 16, no one knows.
Yeah, who knows?
The drugs are always ahead of the testing.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
I do want to root for him. He seems like a great guy.
Anand, who's your loser?
My loser's the Boston Celtics. So we talked about the controversy with the coach. It's just, we still don't know what happened. It just seems massively mishandled. However you slice it, the owner and the GM did a press conference, which they really said nothing. So if you can't discuss it publicly, you still should have handled it privately, because now you're just making speculation.
Well, they did handle it privately. They said he's suspended. What do you want them to do? They have to announce that.
Yeah, but they're not saying exactly what he did.
Maybe it's so bad that they're trying to
tell it.
Yeah. And let the people judge.
Or I mean, it's just very vague. Why didn't you fire him? Why are you suspending him?
He's a good coach. That's the problem. They liked winning. They were in the NBA Finals.
Yeah, but I mean,
their job is to win. That's the reality. Everyone wants to hold sports and athletes to some moral high ground. No, they're same with corporate America.
No, but there's actual people involved here, right? There's a counterparty. He got suspended because he did something wrong, and now it's just
didn't the woman get fired too?
Unclear.
I don't know yet.
They haven't even said
and,
shit.
and they've said consensual every single article. Yeah. I think the other thing though is he gets fired, he gets rehired in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Because it's somebody else's organization versus their own.
Yeah.
So I think you hold on to him and be like, you're on timeout for a year, but you're our problem. You're not somebody else's.
It'll be 1 year where no one will hire him, and then next thing you know, he's a Lakers coach.
100%. The guy's a great coach. Yeah. So it'll be tricky.
That's an unfortunate problem. It's just how things work. Loser?
I'll say this is a funny one, which is it was a great show, but in my opinion, everybody who watched Dahmer over the weekend on Netflix is a loser because it was an amazing show. The performances was great. The thing that was hard to watch.
Oh my God. I could not watch anything
like
with serial
going viral, right?
Oh, it's crushing it. Everyone's good. Ryan Murphy, Evan Peters is I think the guy's name.
Yeah.
And then the woman who was his next door neighbor, I can't remember her name. It was 10 out of 10 incredible. One of the truly hardest things I've ever had to sit down or chose to sit down and watch. So,
oh my God,
positive and negative.
That's amazing. My loser is the stock market. Anand thought it wasn't going to retest the lows. We are going to fly by every single low.
650, 700 today.
Titanic.
I said growth stocks won't retest the lows.
They all are.
They are, right?
Shopify's 52-week low. Google hit a low today.
Oof.
My positions aren't.
Yours is, that's it.
That's all I care about.
But the market is hitting a new low, 100%.
Does anyone talk about crypto anymore? I haven't heard the word. That's just nobody cares.
I don't care about that.
Crypto will be fine.
Low views on TikTok. If I bring up NFT, your views just plummet off the cliff.
NFTs aren't moving the needles on.
Amazing.
Crypto, I think Bitcoin, Ethereum, crypto talk is still relevant and important.
Yeah.
It feels like everything else.
Yeah. People don't talk about the shit coins because everyone lost the money.
Back to our quiet quitting thing, that was another one where I'm like, this isn't real.
Yeah.
Like, and I hate to be the naysayer, but like,
yeah,
I'm a big Bitcoin, Ethereum guy. All the rest, I was like, what am I watching here?
Yeah.
Usually that stuff comes around.
In hindsight, when you look at November 2021, there's so many obvious signs this is all falling apart.
Yeah, especially when Jeff and Elon were selling everything and we didn't follow them.
Yeah. Chamath and all them, he literally laid out the entire thing. He's like, this is exactly what's going to happen.
And they didn't even do it.
They didn't do it. That's the funny part.
Right.
Yeah. They're on the inside.
So you never know if it's some type of bait and switch. I literally watch that stuff and I'm like, what do they want me to do right now?
Exactly. That's why nervous. I don't trust when like Stan Druckenmiller, famous hedge fund guy, is going on this like press tour saying the economy's fucked. Does that mean he's just trying to bring prices lower and he's buying in?
Obviously.
It's what it feels like, which is
he has to
very
do
difficult.
It to make money.
This is usually the goal.
Especially old billionaires. They're not young, like young billionaires disappear to islands and stuff in Hawaii. The old billionaires can't stop.
Yeah, they gotta grind.
They'll tank the whole economy just to make a couple extra billion.
Yeah, for sure.
Content on it?
In honor of our guests, I'm going to watch the D'Amelios on Hulu.
Wow.
Nice.
Thank you.
Season 2 live.
Season 2 live. There's 2 episodes per week, every week for 5 weeks. So the first 2 was last night.
Amazing. Am I assuming your content is the same?
My content is the D'Amelios on Hulu because it is really good. I always tell people just watch one. You don't need to watch it anymore. If you watch one and like it, it's good storytelling. Yeah,
I watched I think season 1 like 3 episodes on an airplane.
Nice.
That was great.
Welcome to the club.
Yep. I'm a airplane content guy. That's where I catch
your
good amount of
D'Amelios, Kevin Hart, and
The Rock.
Those are your 3.
Yeah.
Nice.
Airplane
that's
content.
Good.
Hey, I will take that audience, all that company all the time. Killer.
I actually started watching something last night. I watched 1 episode of the new GameStop documentary.
Oh, cool.
On Netflix.
On the whole race to the start. Wow,
yeah, it's called Eat the Rich.
Amazing.
I think 1, it's incredible in just financial literacy, just explaining things super simply. I thought it was done really, really well. And then the 2 young women who were on our podcast during that debacle,
the Wall Street Journal reporters,
they're consulting producers on the thing, and they're in it.
We told them, when's the movie coming out?
Yeah.
And they laughed. So they must have been working on it.
They're probably working on it. It's unbelievable the way they did this documentary and like just explaining. And they have like Jim Cramer as one of the, guests. And they have like Andrew Leff from Citron Research, and just they have all the right characters to explain what happened. It was so well done.
Cool.
At least the 1 episode I saw.
I'm curious if what would it take for that to happen again? Because retail's left the market.
Yeah.
You see like 1 in 5 people are canceling the Robinhood accounts because they've probably lost all their money.
Yeah.
And retail was the component that drove it. And then the hedge funds piled in.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It'll be interesting.
You know what?
That was a crazy
California is about to dole out some inflation checks, so get ready. Where do you think that's going?
That's the dumbest thing ever. Yeah. How do we stop inflation? Let's give people more money?
Yeah.
Didn't seem to work last time, so we'll see.
I'm curious to see where that money goes this time. I'm guessing it doesn't.
Probably rent this time around.
This time it's rent, yeah.
Interesting.
Amazing. All right, Greg, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. This was fun.
Yeah, it was really fun.
That was cool.
We found your next career.
There you go. Love it.
All right, guys. See you Sunday. Bye-bye.